Hello, my name is Benjamin Klein. I'm professor of speech and communication at Western New Mexico University, and I am going to be your instructor for public speaking, communication 1130, for the summer of 2022. So let's just go ahead and I'm going to open up our web page and get started from there. And we'll talk about what is going to be expected this in this class. So, okay. Um, this is our this is our class, COMM 1130, section 71. Usually at WNMU, section 7 something means it's online, and usually then you just count the number of online sections there are. But anyway, so this was the first online section. So that's generally what that means. My name, like I said, is Benjamin Klein, Dr. Benjamin Klein. People call me Dr. Klein. People call me Dr. Benji. That's fine. Whatever. It's fine. My office is in 212 Bowden Hall. Bowden Hall is between Light Hall. I can't remember what that little hall is down there, the one where the alumni affairs is. So that's where it is. My office phone number is right here. You can call my office phone number. It's for a long time, my office phone number didn't work, but now it does. So my office hours are 12:45 to 1:45 Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday this summer. I may be in a little bit more often than that. So yeah. Uh, I think this isn't my Zoom address anymore, but whether it is or not is whether that is my Zoom address or not doesn't really matter because I might Zoom my office hours if you need me to, but you're gonna have to send me a text or a call or something to let me know that you want me to Zoom my office hours, and then I'll be there for you. So yeah, that's what's going on there. You also have, like I said, you can text me. This is my phone number, 775-557-5131. It's my personal cell phone number. If you call it, I might answer or I might not. It depends on what's going on in my life. And if you text me, what I usually say is I might wait until office hours to respond. Now, that doesn't mean I will, but I may. Most of the time I respond fairly quickly. But if I'm doing other things, I might just not get to it until later. I'm not a Generation Z, a Zoomer, so I don't necessarily respond to texts immediately. Required items for this, we are required 2 books. Let's get pictures of those books, okay? So let's just do that. Let's see. We can do that by going to schedule.w. This is what you should have seen when you were when you were looking for classes. You would have looked for it and found this class on this schedule, and you would have seen when you found this class on this schedule that there are textbooks required for this class, and they've been on there for since this went up, and I think March, maybe even sooner. It might have been February. So those have been listed as the classes for this textbook. Hopefully you have them because you need them to pass the class. You will not pass the class without the textbooks. And because it's a summer class, you don't have time to order them. So hopefully you have them. Unless you can get them like overnighted to you, you really don't have time to wait on these. So these are the textbooks. So let's check the availability just to see. They should be available. Yeah. Yep, they are available. So that at least is good. If you're here in silver, you can luckily just run over to the bookstore and get them. If you're not, then hopefully you already have them by now. So Anyway, those are the required items. You also need a computer with adequate internet capacity to access the class and to upload speeches. Um, a lot of times people try and travel during the summer, and that's fine. I might do that too. I might not be in my office for my office hours. You can still call me. But in the summer, when people try and do that, sometimes they end up in places where maybe they have some adequate to view to access the class, but they don't have adequate internet to upload speeches. So you just kind of have to plan your life so that you are in a place where you can upload speeches before they're due. I say a device that can digitally record your speeches. Right now, most students use their phones. You can use whatever you want, though. You could have professional studio, whatever. I don't really, doesn't really matter, but you just need something to record your speeches and an attitude that you're willing to sacrifice to do the extra work a summer class entails. Just in general, I tell people you should never take public speaking online. If you take public speaking online, um, the chances just mathematically of you getting an F in the class skyrocket compared to if you take it face to face. And here's the reason why. Most people, when you take the class face to face, I provide the audience. When you take the class online, I don't provide the audience. You have to go find an audience. And all of your speeches for this class will require you to give a speech in front of an audience. And I just want to be really clear and really forthright about that, that if you can't find an audience, you're not going to pass the class. That's always a concern with an online class. Always a concern is that a huge number of students who would otherwise have done well in the class fail because they couldn't find an audience. They couldn't get people to show up for their speeches. They didn't have the minimum numbers, and so they fail the class. This is a public speaking class. It's not just a speaking class. So that means you have to be able to present in front of an audience. This is really, really important. Um, so yeah, that's just an online public speaking class in general. It means that you've made a decision to really step up and do a little more than people who would take the class face to face. A summer class is also kind of a big deal. In the summer, we basically figure you're doing about a week, just a little more than a week's worth of work every day in the class. That's how it works out. Which honestly, when I was an undergrad, when I was taking my college classes, I found that easier because when I was taking a summer class, I would only be taking one or two, and I could focus 100% on that class. And I found that actually easier for me. I think I would have done better. It did pretty well, but I think I would have done better in school if I could have taken all my classes like summer classes. But there is an intensity to it because you're doing basically a week's worth of class every day. And that is a lot of work sometimes. And in the summer, you can't get behind. If you get an extension or something like that, it means that you're really going to be struggling. And you've only got like just a few weeks to get everything done. That is really, really intense. And so just kind of an attitude that, I am up for that. I am up for the more intense, the more difficult challenge of an online summer public speaking class. If you're not up for that, you're not going to do well in the class. So I put it down as a required item. So yeah, that's one of the required items for the class. Let's go ahead and pull this back up again. All right. I also have a list of assignments. I'll get back to that. Grading criteria. I want you to know what your grading criteria are. So here's kind of the deal. If you get an F from me, what that means is you did not do college level work. There is something about it. I'd say one of the big reasons people get Fs is they ask for an extension, and I'll tell them okay, but for every day after, I'm taking off 10 points. Well, you're pretty quick down half points. At that point, you get an F. Sometimes people go ahead and turn things in, and there'll just be chunks of it missing. That's a way to get an F. Numerous serious errors appear throughout the assignment. So those are some of the reasons I give Fs on assignments. I very rarely give Fs in the class, because usually students, if they're going to get an F, they realize they're getting an F and they decide to drop the class. So I give Fs every semester to somebody, but most of the time students quit before then. Ds, if you get a D in an assignment from me, a lot of times what that means, you know what one of the most common ways to get a D is a person works really hard and does just an amazing job, but that's not what the assignment asked them to do. And I hate that, because it's like, this is awesome. That's just not what I wanted. This is really cool what you did, but the assignment said you have to do this. And that's something that happens sometimes with D work. Some portion of the assignment just isn't accomplished. Maybe things weren't edited for spelling or grammar. Presentations might have grammatical or pronunciation errors. But this is a big one. You get a D generally if you get on the camera and you read the speech to me. Nobody wants to hear you read. Well, 5-year-old does, but otherwise, nobody wants to hear you read. Nobody wants to hear you read a speech. You're going to learn as part of this class how to present instead of reading a speech. So that's really important. And that's the reasons people get Ds. When people get Cs, it means that everything was done right. If you get a C and you ask me, what did I do wrong? I will almost always tell you nothing. You did everything correctly. And it was boring and dry and heartless and empty. But hey, the assignment required 5 to 7 minute speech, and you gave a 5 to 7 minute speech. The assignment required you to have 4 sources, and so you gave 4 sources. You just did everything right, and it was horribly boring generally. Just everything's right. You didn't do anything wrong. I can't point to it and say, you did this wrong. I say, you have to tell an emotional story. You told an emotional story. But it was just like, that's all you did, is you were just like checking boxes, and you did everything right. And so you get a C. And C's get degrees, and C's should get degrees. It is right for people to get a college degree who have gone through and mostly gotten C's. That's what we want. That's what we expect. That's what employers will expect when they're doing a thing like this. So yeah, when they're looking at jobs, is that, what, this person can do college level work. A B means that you're doing above college level work. You're doing something that really just stands out. Maybe not all of it really just stands out, but enough of the assignment exceeded the quality expected of a college student that you're going to do better than that. And then an A. I'll tell you, I give out more A's every semester than I do C's, really. Lots of students earn A's, but here's how you earn an A. You not only do everything right, and you not only do some things really well, but just everything. As I go through, I'm looking at it and say, not only did this right, but there's a sparkle to it. There's a beauty to it. So I don't know if I give more A's than C's. I said that, but I don't know if that's true. I definitely give more A's than D's. Way, way, way more A's than D's. Probably give around the same number of A's and C's, to be perfectly honest. But in both cases, that's, if you get an A, that means something. It means you did something well. So I just want to make that clear before we go through. Let's talk about your assignments. You know what? The easiest way to talk about your assignments is to talk about them using this calendar real quick. You're going to see almost every day you have a quiz, and some days you have 2 quizzes. The quizzes will require you to read usually a chapter in one of our textbooks. We have the two textbooks, like I already showed you, usually a chapter in that, or maybe I'll have you watch a video, or maybe I'll have you read something from an outside source from those two textbooks, something that I give you access to online. And then usually most of them are multiple choice. Most of the time you can take them more than once. And the main point is to stay focused on the class. And that's what you're trying to do. You'll also write one really kind of short paper. Where is it? Let's see. I'm going to look at it this way. I'm going to click on. You can click here on assignments, or you can click here on list of assignments, and I have it designed to take you to exactly the same place. So you had a short paper. I'm not seeing it now. Let me try this. Okay, home. Situate types of speeches. That should be it, right? Yeah. So you're supposed to write a very, very short paper that compares the different types of speeches that you've seen in your reading. So that's something you'll work on. So you'll do that little short paper, and that's going to be due coming up in about a little over a week. So that's coming up. And then you've got your first speech, which is a show and tell speech. The show and tell speech is a speech about values. And you bring in an item that exemplifies your values. Now, what are your values? I don't know. Here's some values. I'm really tired of speeches on hard work, though. So many students say that their moral value is hard work, and it's like, well, that's wonderful. But like, I've heard 37 billion speeches on that at this point, and I'm glad you work hard. But anyway, so these are some of them. Other things that you could do if you want to just Google virtues, another moral values. Virtues is another term for that. So you can do that. Do some quick research and see what other people have written about that value, and do a 3 to 5 minute speech. Digitally record your speech in front of a live audience of 5 to 20 people. You must do your speech in front of an audience. So here's what you do in your speech. You tell who you are. You tell us what your item is. You name the value that the item represents. You give a definition of the value. You tell a personal story explaining why the value has to do with the item. You forge strong links with your personal experience in the value, and you close the speech by doing that. So that's what you're supposed to do. And like I said, that is due June 6th. So that might sound like it's far away because it's next month, but it's also in a week and a half. Right? Is that right? I don't know. So anyway, that's it's coming right up. 2 weeks maybe. It's coming right up anyway. And then you'll have another speech called the policy speech. There's a lot of problems in the world, and some of those problems might be mitigated by changing policies in some way. And that's what you're supposed to do, is you're supposed to choose a policy that you think should be changed, and that you think will interest us. So the policy could be anything. It could be national, university policy, a city policy, like a city a local or state, national law, regulation, whatever. It could be, your church's policy on not letting active alcoholics preach sermons. I don't know. Your church might not have that policy. They don't like active alcoholics. I really don't know. But anyway, the thing is, any policy, you find the policy, and you read the policy. A lot of students, I've had students get up and they've argued for changes in policy, and the policy already says what they think it should say. They never read the original policy. But anyway, or the policy, the way it's being worked out right now. Find out what people have said about it. Find out why those who disagree. We'll learn about something called the refutatio as we go through this semester, where you're supposed to give the other side and explain why intelligent, smart, good, moral people would disagree with you, and why they're still wrong. So we'll talk about that as we go through. Then you develop a screencast video of you delivering this speech. This is one that's, Zoom has an option that allows you to record yourself and the audience if that's what you want. So that your audience and your vision, if that's what you want, there's different ways that you can do that. You have to have 4 sources. You have to explain why those sources are valid. You have to use one of these, the ancient order, philosophical order, or commercial order. You don't know what those are yet. Well, you might, but I haven't taught you. It's part of the class. You'll learn that in this class. And you create a role for the audience. You digitally record in front of 5 people. You upload the speech, and then you'll view some other people's speeches. That was true on the show and tell speech too. I don't think I mentioned it. You'll look at some of the other people's speeches, and you're supposed to say 2 nice things and 1 thing on which they could improve. Then there's your teaching speech. Your teaching speech is your final for this class. Lots of choices. It has to be a topic that you think is in the public interest. Then you're supposed to do research using academic databases, not just Google. And you find out these things. Then you have to give a speech, 5 sources. You're required to cite aloud. You're required to use a visual aid. You can do a Pechacucha again, like you did, but that's not a requirement. It fits with this. You could do it. I know you don't know what a Pechacucha is, but you're going to take this class, and then I'll tell you, just 6 weeks, you will know what a Pechacucha is. But anyway, it's got to be integrated into the speech. You stay within 5 minutes. Over or under will be docked. You digitally record your speech in front of a live audience. You upload the speech below, and you'll be asked to review other people's speeches. So those are the assignments, the criteria, the ways you can contact me. I guess if there's anything else that you need to know, you can inbox me here on Canvas. You can send me a text. I don't think I put my email on here. I do have email. It's just, email, so 2008. And that was a long time ago. Email. This is. Yeah, you can email me. It's perfectly fine. They give me that email primarily to contact students, but students usually use some other method nowadays because email is for old people. So anyway, yeah, that's basically what's going on. If you want to get a hold of me about any of that stuff, just let me know. If you have any questions, anything like that, you'll see me in a few videos as you do your quizzes. But otherwise, I don't plan on making a video specifically for this class again. Anyway, that's what's going on. I hope you have a good class. I hope you learn a lot. I hope you become good public speakers. I hope that your lives are filled with joy. I hope you have a great summer, even though you're taking classes, because summer should be awesome. So anyway, that's what we've got going on, and I hope to see you around. Peace. Bye.